Mushrooms used to just be a delicacy on your plate. As research and technology progressed, mushrooms have moved into a world of medicinal strength. Mushroom supplements can now be found in many categories of nutrition, and for good reason. They have so many benefits. Today, I am welcoming back Richard Cividanes from Host Defense Mushroom Company to explain how certain varieties of mushrooms are benefiting our immune system, our stress, and our energy. Welcome back to the show, Richard.
Hey, Brian. Good day to you. It's great to see you again.
Well, I'm glad to have you back on the show because we're getting a lot of questions, and these questions are revolved around really three main categories. They want to know what to do to support their immune system. They want to know what they can take to deal with their stress better. And of course, what we're all seeking is more energy. What can we do to increase energy? So why don't we start with the immune system side of it first? How does Host Defense address supporting immune function?
Great place to start off. It's a wonderful place to start anytime we're discussing beneficial mushrooms, because this is one of the places of support that they can really shine for so many different people. We work at Host Defense with 17 different mushroom species, and each and every one of those beneficial mushrooms in their own way supports our immune response. So, that idea of thinking about consuming mushrooms in your diet, utilizing mushroom supplementation, even if you're using a mushroom like lion's mane for cognitive enhancement and support, it is still in its own way going to support your immune response and the immune system, like within the digestive tract. Now, there are a few mushrooms that really do that kind of support for immune health better than others. There's a couple of different species that we work with. One of my favorite, and really it's a favorite of the company. We joke around all the time that it's like our mascot mushroom, and that is a mushroom that we'll find only in the old growth forests of the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia anymore. And that's a mushroom called agarikon. Agarikon used to be found throughout parts of Europe as well, and it has a very, very long history of use with humans. Dioscorides, a 4th century, I believe, doctor, even in his Materia Medica, wrote about the use of agarikon for a number of different health issues. And so, this is a mushroom where we have done a significant amount of research on it ourselves, and with a laboratory that we have coupled with and joined forces in order to do deeper research in human blood cell lines on some of these mushrooms, so we can understand a little bit more about the mechanisms of what they are doing in and for the human immune response. And of all of the mushrooms and formulas that we have tested so far, agarikon is the one that really stands out. We found that it helps to support immune cell engagement. So that means that it has the opportunity to help our immune system cells become activated and engaged in the process that they need to be involved in order to help keep us healthy. It also was found to very significantly support what we call immune modulatory activity. And so that is a really important aspect of the human immune system that is helping our immune system kind of function and stay within its normal limits, and have the opportunity to move through all of the 4 stages of the immune response in an appropriate manner. And ultimately, immune modulation is what's going to bring you from that active engagement, that space where you're not feeling very well, through that process and into what we call clearance, where the body's immune system is now starting to clean up after itself. It's taking care of repairing tissues that might have gotten damaged from that activated immune response. And then bringing the immune system back to what we call alert, watchful waiting. And agarikon, not only, again, is it able to activate and engage those immune cells, but it's also able to help support that modulatory process that the immune system is going to go through. And then we found in all 4 stages, agarikon robustly increased or very strongly increased the activity of the immune system. So immune cell engagement, that's the first process, when you're starting to get it going. And then there's a recruitment phase. And this is when the immune cells start sending a host of messenger molecules. We call them cytokines or chemokines. These are the molecules in our body's immune system that starts making us not feel really well when they are starting to move into our tissues and our bloodstream. Agarikon is very powerful at helping with that recruitment phase as well. So getting the immune cells communicating with one another in order to get the job done. And then as I mentioned, it moves through that recruitment phase, and then the clearance process. This is where, again, the body's immune cells are now starting to release different types of molecules to help with tissue generative activity that's going to repair damage that occurred from that activated immune response. And so it's a mushroom that I kind of find it to be one of the mushrooms that is not very well known. It is a mushroom species that oftentimes gets overlooked on the shelves. And in my humble opinion, whether we are like in it right now, like winter wellness season, or it is the middle of summertime, but you are still really wanting to significantly support the entire process of your immune system, agarikon is a mushroom that can really significantly help to support that, and it has other benefits as well. It helps to support antioxidants. It helps to support DNA within our body. And now our agarikon, we have it available in capsule form, and then we also do extractions of the agarikon mycelium, and then those we blend into our MycoShield immune spray. So that's a 5 mushroom immune spray. There's 5 polypore mushrooms, and agarikon is one of them. And that is a spray that you just spray right into your mouth to help kind of protect what we call the mucosal associated lymphatic tissue, the upper respiratory tract, and help to provide some of the prebiotic compounds right into those tissues that the mushrooms are able to provide to us as well. And
Which, by the way, is one of the best ones to travel with. I love traveling with that particular product.
It's a great product to travel with. It's easy to carry around. We sell them in 1 or 2 ounce spray bottles, so you can take them even through TSA in the airplanes. And anytime I fly, that's kind of a ritual. Before I walk into the airport, I spray a few sprays in my mouth. Before I get on the plane, I do it again. After I get off the plane, I do it a 3rd time. And it's something that I just kind of take with me along those travel routes. Whenever you're interacting with large groups of people, you're really out there in the public. It's a wonderful proactive way to kind of help support the immune response. We have 5 different flavors of the MycoShield too. So there's a flavor that each and every person would probably find one that would be appropriate for their palate.
That's right.
And then we also blend the agarikon into our 17 mushroom blend, the My Community, which
Very
is
popular product.
Yeah, another wonderful product that you can find in capsules or liquid extract. The agarikon is in both of those. But that really is one of my favorite immune supportive mushrooms is the agarikon. Again, just because of some of the newer research that we're seeing and the way that it's able to support the immune response across the entire cycle that's occurring when we are engaged with fighting the good fight.
Yeah, I've always thought about agarikon sort of being that conductor of the orchestra, right? It's sort of telling all the immune cells what to do and where to go and who to attack. And that's what I love about agarikon and the research behind it. It's just an amazing mushroom that I agree with you. It's overlooked a lot on the shelves out there. Not enough people know about it for a mushroom that's been around for, like you said, a long time.
A very long time. And back, when I was mentioning that materia medica, it used to be called the elixir of long life. That was the nickname of it back then. So, so even prior to the ability of modern day scientific research, where we're doing, human cell research on it, the individuals in the past that were utilizing it had a sense that this was a type of mushroom that was providing that opportunity for vitality and for health.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, let's move on to stress then. Stress is a big issue. I always talk about stress from the cortisol standpoint of how it instigates fight or flight in our bodies. That means most of us got these racing brains and energy problems and these emotional ups and downs. So what can be taken to basically combat those effects of stress?
That's a great question. Yeah. And stress is one of those kind of kind of hidden dangers that we are all kind of being exposed to more and more. I mean, everybody, you want to have a stress response, but in our modern day, it seems that more and more people are working on this very activated stress response that's keeping them in that kind of fight or flight mode, if you will. And again, this is another place where there are some mushroom species that can be profoundly supportive of that stress response in an individual. Two mushroom species in particular, reishi and lion's mane, are wonderful beneficial species to consider if and when you're wanting to support that stress response. Now, again, this is one of the really beautiful things about the beneficial mushrooms is that they're very multifactorial. We just were talking immune response, and I would be a little bit remiss if I didn't mention that reishi also is a very wonderful mushroom to consider for immune support, because it is an absolutely wonderful immune modulatory supportive mushroom. So again, helping our immune system stay within its normal limits and move through the stages from active engagement to clearance and resolution. And reishi has that opportunity and ability. Reishi, sometimes referred to as the mushroom of immortality. It has an incredibly long history of use. I mean, we have written historical data from traditional Chinese medicine that goes back over 2,500 years into the past of practitioners utilizing that mushroom to support individuals. And if you're kind of wondering, like, I don't know which mushroom to consider, reishi is always one that I suggest you fall back on, because for almost everybody, it's a beautiful mushroom to consider. It has been found to support practically every system in our body, and it is defined as a true adaptogenic mushroom. Adaptogenic substances are natural substances that help our bodies manage internal and external stressors more appropriately. In research, reishi has been found to help to support a move into the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's the opposite part of our automatic nervous system from the fight or flight side of the nervous system, which is our sympathetic nervous system. And in research, reishi has been found to help people move into the parasympathetic rest or digest mode of the nervous system without causing an individual to become sedated or drowsy or tired. So it keeps your energy levels up, while simultaneously helping to kind of manage some of those processes internally that can lead to that experience of fight or flight when our adrenals are releasing adrenaline or cortisol into the system and getting a person really like in that kind of hyper vigilant process. And so reishi is a beautiful mushroom to consider there.
Which is why I can see why you put it in your stress decompress product. I can understand why it's in there. But why lion's mane? Everybody knows that from memory and so forth. Why is that in a stress decompress product?
Certainly. Yeah, great. So lion's mane also has this capacity and ability to help reduce that sympathetic nervous system hyperarousal that's occurring. And there is some significant human clinical research on lion's mane that shows that it helps to support mood, a balanced mood, and in a way, it also helps to support strongly, both lion's mane and reishi strongly support our digestive system. Not only the cells that line our digestive system, but also the proliferation of probiotic bacteria in the Lactobacilli and Bifidobacteria genera. And so we know now from more and more research that's coming out that even helping to support a balanced microbiome in our bodies can help to support a balanced mood. And so, because of the research that is there on lion's mane and its ability to support mood, to support sleep, that's another place that both lion's mane and reishi play a role, is that they can help provide an individual with more appropriate sleep architecture. And adequate, appropriate sleep as often as you can possibly get it. And God knows that as a father of a young child, that doesn't happen for me all of the time, but consistent good sleep and sleep architecture is, again, one of those ways that we can really naturally help to support our mood. And so we've blended the lion's mane and the reishi into one of our formulas called Stress Decompress, which is in a capsule form. And then we've combined that with some very well-known herbs that are also known to help support mood and that balanced ability for our bodies to manage and support our stress response. And so there's two nervine herbs in the Stress Decompress. Those are American skullcap and lemon balm, sometimes also known or referred to as Melissa. And so they're both nervines, and nervines kind of help to calm and relax our body. They calm and quiet our mind, and they do it again without being sedating. For most individuals, you're not going to find any kind of sedative qualities to those kinds of herbs, especially in the in the serving sizes that we are providing them in the Stress Decompress. And then we've also added ashwagandha, which functions very, very closely in some of its ways to reishi. Ashwagandha is one of the top 3 adaptogenic herbs on planet Earth. It has an
By far.
enormous amount of research on its ability to help balance cortisol levels and support, again, that adaptation to stress, the ability to have an experience that's creating a moment of stress and then being able to move through that and let yourself go back to calm, as opposed to kind of carrying it, holding it with you all day and in tension and in thoughts and processes that really then starts kind of taking you away from your world and your life. It's really hard to be with the people that you know and you love and that you're doing things with when you're under heavy amounts of stress. It creates a disconnect for individuals. And so the lion's mane and the reishi, in combination with those 3 herbs, it's a very gentle and soothing formula. We suggest people take it earlier in the day, morning or early afternoon.
I was going to ask you that.
To help kind of support that process of, the managing stress throughout their day.
So it'd probably help them with that racing mind at night, even. Like you said, it helps with the sleep architecture. So I can see how it can just calm the brain down a little bit and really help people even sleep better through the night.
Absolutely.
Which translates to more energy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, reishi and lion's mane, they both have been found to help, support sleep latency, which means like after you get into bed, the rate at which you fall asleep. And reishi has also been found to help people stay asleep longer. And we're not going to go too deep in it here, but that research on reishi it's connected again to the microbiome and serotonin and that's what they're seeing as potential mechanisms of action in regards to its ability to support the sleep architecture for individuals.
Very interesting, Richard. Then based on what you just said, you said take it earlier in the day, but what if the person just has sleep issues? Would you just take it at night?
You can, and it's a great idea. And the last few nights, I don't know if it's because of all the solar flares that have been happening. We've been in this moment in the last week and a half or so where the planet's been getting hit with a huge amount of solar flares. I don't know what it is, but I don't usually have insomnia, and I have been struggling with falling asleep, each and every night. And so last night, I was about an hour before bed, I wound up taking some of our lion's mane extract and our reishi extract in combination, just to be like, I really want to try to do what I can to fall asleep a little easier today, because these last 4 or 5 nights I really have been struggling for some reason with that insomnia for myself.
Mm-hmm. Did it work good for you?
It did. I fell asleep a bit faster last night, even though I still was laying in bed thinking, why aren't I asleep yet? But it wasn't like the other nights where it was, 1 o'clock in the morning and I was still aware of myself in the room, which going to bed at, 9:45, that was a long time.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. Well, let's move on to what we all want more of then, Richard. Energy, right? What can we do for energy when it comes to the mushrooms?
Another excellent question. And that idea of like the stress and the energy, they're kind of 2 sides of the same coin.
They are.
Oftentimes when people find themselves under long-term lots amount of stress, you also are experiencing fatigue or inability to sleep, and that's leading you to drowsiness and the idea of like being like, oh, I just don't you're not feeling like you're on top of your game, and
that's right.
So we have a formula called Energy, Mycobotanicals Energy. This is another formula where we are combining beneficial mushrooms in combination with herbs. And in that energy formula, there are 3 mushroom species. Reishi, again, is in that formula, as well as the mushroom chaga, and then cordyceps, which cordyceps is a really interesting species. It's considered to be what's known as an entomopathogenic mushroom, which means that out in the wild, it grows on insects. It doesn't grow on detritus material and leaves and wood. It actually literally grows in and from insects. We grow all of our Cordyceps militaris on organic brown rice. That's how we're accessing and growing the mycelium. So we're not growing it on bugs. But cordyceps has, again, one of these traditional ethnomycological mushroom species that has been used for thousands of years to support, people in high altitude. Some of the cordyceps species grow up in the Himalayan mountains, where obviously that is in like the highest altitude, in the world. And that was used regularly to help support oxygenation and help support living in that high altitude. It
Altitude
is
thickness, right?
yeah, it's known, it's a very well-known mushroom species in the realm in the world of athletics because it can provide an immediate increase in energy and an enhancement in energy, and it is not doing that via like compounds like caffeine. It has this really unique ability to do two things with our and support in our respiratory system. It helps our bodies be able to draw more oxygen into our lungs upon a breath, which is really an important mushroom to consider for graceful breathing. If you're struggling with graceful breathing, cordyceps, regular use of cordyceps can really be a wonderful ally for individuals who are struggling there. So it allows us to draw more air into our lungs, and then it has another mechanism where it actually helps more oxygen absorb through our lung tissue and into our bloodstream. So there's some human clinical trials with athletes that show that the supplementation with cordyceps helps to improve what we call VO2 max, or the amount of oxygen that's actually in the blood. And when you're in a higher oxygenated state, you are being provided with more energy potentially.
That's right.
It is also a mushroom that has been found to help support the formation of ATP in our skeletal muscle tissue. And ATP is the energy currency of our cells. It's what our mitochondria in the cells are producing in order to fuel and cell and charge the cells. And so the fact that cordyceps has been found to help promote the production of ATP, that's another place where we know that it's providing that opportunity for an increase and an enhancement of energy. So now,
well, more of that. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And again, it's occurring in a way where you're not going to have that experience of jitteriness. Some people can drink coffee all day long and they never feel it. A lot of folks, they drink caffeinated beverages. You hit a certain amount of caffeine and you start feeling some of the negative effects of that. Right. The discomfort of caffeine, and that's not going to occur with cordyceps. And so, the other two mushroom species that are in there, again, the reishi, beautiful immune modulator, a wonderful adaptogen. So again, helping our bodies manage our stress response more appropriately. If we are managing our stress response more appropriately, that provides us the opportunity to have more of our constitutional energy to energize and do other functions in our experience. If we are under heavy amounts of stress, our energetic system is struggling to try to bring us back into balance from that experience. And so that those modulatory and adaptogenic qualities of the reishi, it's a mushroom that's known to provide day-long energy. So kind of different from cordyceps that can provide the immediate enhancement. Reishi provides that opportunity for more day-long energy. And then we bring chaga in, and chaga is a mushroom that many people are familiar with. It's another species that has a large amount of research on its ability to support antioxidants and muscle recovery, and it in some of the ways that it's going to help provide energy, again, is on that side of like the athletic performance side of that equation. And then we've added a number of other herbs, a couple of adaptogenic herbs, rhodiola. That's a rhodiola root extract in our energy formula, and eleuthero root. So eleuthero, sometimes referred to as the king of herbs. It is the most heavily researched and studied herb, hands down. It is also considered to be a true adaptogen. It helps to provide the opportunity for increased endurance, increased stamina, mental and physical stamina and endurance. And the rhodiola is another adaptogenic herb that grows, in Scandinavian countries, in Siberian areas, Russia. That's where it kind of grows naturally, and it has been used as well as an herb, traditionally to help support like work performance, energy levels, stamina, the ability to keep going. It's a very gently warming adaptogen. Some people don't notice that, but when individuals are sensitive, it's an herb that can actually kind of change the temperature of your body a little bit and warm you up, provide a little bit more fire. And then we have green tea extract also in the energy formula. With theanine, EG,
Yeah.
CG, two important compounds that you'll find in green tea, can help to support, metabolic functioning. They're able to support and help to combat fatigue and weakness in the system as well. There's a tiny amount of caffeine in this formula because of the green tea extract. A single serving, it's 15 milligrams of caffeine. So
Very
that's
little.
about like a decaf cup of coffee's worth. It's not, again, we're
That's right.
not focusing on the caffeine to provide that energetic quality. It's more the combination of those three mushrooms and the three herbs in combination to help to support that like immediate energy, that ability to increase oxygenation into the system, which is going to support endurance and stamina and athletic performance, recovery, all of those kinds of wonderful, wonderful things.
Yeah, and you don't get all the side effects like you would with caffeine, like you said. So that's what I love about this too. You're addressing that short-term and long-term energy needs.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome product. Y'all did a great job with that product. That's a very popular one here for energy. I think half my staff takes that one on a daily basis. How do you recommend taking it though on your side, Richard?
Well, you could take it a couple of different ways. If it's going to become something that is a daily ongoing process for you, again, taking it earlier in the day. For most people, you wouldn't want to take that later in the afternoon or the evening. That could provide you with, some additional energy at the time of the day where you don't want it. So
Exactly.
earlier in the day, morning upon rising, after breakfast. I personally like using that formula like prior to exercising. So, oftentimes I stick a lot of the times just with like our with our cordyceps and reishi prior to like my runs. I love to go out and run on weekends when I have more time and I'm able to go longer distances. I'll take some of the cordyceps and reishi, but I also take that energy formula as well, because I find that combination of the mushrooms and then definitely the eleuthero and the rhodiola in combination, those two herbs, when you're looking for work performance, for being able to build more stamina, to me, and I'm personally a little sensitive when I consume things, but I feel the difference in my endurance and my ability to push further before I hit my own personal levels of fatigue. I know that and it's a very palpable experience for me.
Well, yeah,
I
I
think
mean, that's why I see a lot of the athletes using that product, especially for helping with that stamina and that long-term endurance that people are seeking, especially in workouts. Great
absolutely.
pre-workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it too is that, all of the herbs and the mushrooms in that formula, they are in appropriate serving sizes where you only need to take one serving. Sometimes people are like, oh, the one shot of espresso didn't do it. I need 4, and then you're kind of just taking 2 capsules of energy. And if you're doing it consistently, I think a lot of individuals, we hear that they start noticing a real difference in the balance of their energy throughout the day.
That's
And
right.
you're not going to hit those slumps that heavy caffeinated moments can provide. A lot of caffeine at once gives you that perk, but then you start dropping off soon after you've consumed it, and you kind of start feeling that slump occur, which then either has a person reaching for their next caffeinated beverage to help keep them in that space. Whereas
right.
this energy is more constitutional. It's going to provide that opportunity for day-long energy without those feelings of like, oh, I've taken and consumed too much. So even just sticking with the 2 capsules and being consistent with your use of it throughout the days. Again, if you're going to use it for athletic performance, I suggest you consume it about an hour and a half prior to getting into whatever activity you're going to engage. And then for the individual who just wants it as their energy support, just taking it earlier in the day is what I would suggest.
Totally agree. I mean, like you said earlier, it sort of gets rid of those ups and downs a lot of people experience throughout the days. It just keeps you more even keel. And I think that's much better benefits than just coffee itself for sure. I understand the stimulation, but I'd rather have that long-term and balanced approach throughout the day.
Absolutely. It's a healthier, I think, for me, it's a healthier way. And, when I was much younger and I would be studying at school and drinking the entire pot of coffee to keep me going, at the end of it, I'd always be like, why did I do that? I don't feel very good.
You'll always pay the price for sure.
Yeah.
Richard, I always appreciate the information you bring to the table. So we got Agarikon to help support our immune system. We got Stress Decompress to help us with that stress response, a lot more balancing through the day.
Yes.
And then, of course, the energy mushroom formula that you carry, which is an awesome product for that balanced energy that people are really seeking, as opposed to the highs and lows. So that's Perfect. I think all three are something we all need to be taking for sure on a daily basis, at least this time of the year, because we're all dealing with all three of those, and that's what my customers are asking for. So thanks for that information, Richard.
You're so very welcome. It's always a pleasure to see you and be with you, Bryan.
Likewise. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healthy Approach podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you like this podcast and help us spread the word by rating and sharing with your friends and family. If you'd like to learn more about host defense mushrooms, you can go to sunflowershoppe.com. That's shop with 2 P's and an E, or visit us at one of our 2 locations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.